Ready to unlock a world of adventures.
It's fun.
Today we're diving deep into essential travel phrases.
Yeah.
You've sent us a script for a video with 20 key phrases.
Okay.
Our mission: to figure out why they're so powerful and how you can use them to make your travels smoother and way more fun.
Awesome. What's fascinating is that language isn't just about words, it's a bridge to understanding different cultures.
Right.
Even a handful of phrases can completely change your travel experience.
Let's start with, can you help me? It seems simple, but I bet there's more to it than meets the eye.
You're absolutely right. It's more than just asking for help. It's an invitation to connect with locals and tap into their knowledge. Think of it as a secret handshake to unlock insider tips and hidden gems you wouldn't find in a guidebook.
Like that time I was in Rome and completely lost trying to find this tiny trattoria.
Oh, yeah.
I finally asked a local for help and ended up having the best meal of my entire trip.
Wow.
It wasn't even on any of the tourist maps.
Exactly. And that brings us to, where is the nearest? This phrase is your key to navigating unfamiliar surroundings.
Okay.
But it's also about going beyond the tourist tracks and discovering those authentic local experiences.
Makes sense. Now, for a phrase that's crucial for navigating the world of bartering and marketplaces, how much does this cost? It's not just about getting a fair price, is it?
Not at all. In many cultures, haggling is an art form, a way to build rapport and show respect. This phrase opens the door to that cultural dance.
So it's less about being aggressive and more about engaging in a friendly back and forth.
Precisely. It's about understanding the nuances of nonverbal communication, reading the seller's cues, and finding a price that works for both of you.
That's so interesting. It's like a whole new level of communication. What about when you're really struggling to understand, do you speak English? Seems like a good starting point.
It is, but don't underestimate the power of nonverbal communication. Even if someone doesn't speak English, a smile and a genuine attempt to connect can go a long way.
I found that even just trying to learn a few basic greetings in the local language can break the ice and show you're making an effort.
Definitely.
Speaking of effort, sometimes things get lost in translation. How important is it to say, I don't understand?
It's crucial. Faking understanding can lead to bigger misunderstandings down the road.
Right.
It's much better to politely admit you need clarification. Think of it as a safety net, ensuring you're both on the same page.
And it shows you're genuinely engaged in the conversation. Of course. Can you repeat that, please? Helps with that, too. Especially with unfamiliar accents.
Absolutely. Don't hesitate to ask for repetition. Or even try to break down the phrase into smaller parts.
Now, switching gears a bit, what time is it? Seems pretty straightforward, but I imagine there are cultural nuances there, too.
You're right. Different cultures have different perceptions of time and punctuality. What might be considered fashionably late in one place could be a major faux pas in another. This phrase helps you navigate those expectations.
It's about being respectful of local customs. Speaking of customs, let's talk about food. I'd like to order. Is how we unlock delicious culinary adventures.
It's your passport to exploring local flavors and discovering new dishes.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to ask questions about the ingredients or preparation.
It's like having a culinary conversation. And since I'm not a fan of overly spicy food, is this spicy? Is a lifesaver for me. I imagine it's helpful even for people who can handle the heat.
It's a great way to gauge the intensity of flavors in any cuisine. Food is such a personal experience, and this phrase helps you tailor that experience to your liking.
So it's about respecting your own palate, as well as the culinary traditions of the place you're visiting. Once you've enjoyed your meal, it's time to wrap things up. Can I have the bill, please? Seems simple enough, but I'm guessing there are cultural variations here, too.
You're catching on. The way you ask for the bill, who pays, and whether or not tipping is customary can vary significantly.
Right.
Observing how locals handle these situations is always a good idea.
All right, so we've covered some phrases for getting help, navigating basic communication, and even ordering food. Now, how about getting around? Where can I buy tickets is a good place to start.
This phrase is your gateway to transportation systems, cultural attractions, and even local events.
Cool.
It's a chance to tap into the pulse of the city and discover hidden gems.
And speaking of getting around, how do I get to, is essential for navigating unfamiliar territory. But it's more than just asking for directions, isn't it?
It's an opportunity to engage with locals, get their perspective on the best routes, and maybe even learn a bit of local history or lore along the way. Think of it as a mini adventure within your larger journey.
I love that. We've covered a lot of ground here, and I'm already feeling more confident about navigating my next trip.
Me too.
But before we dive into the remaining phrases, what are your thoughts so far? Any particular favorites or ones that spark your curiosity?
Well, it's amazing how these seemingly simple phrases can unlock so much more than just basic communication. They're tools for connection, cultural exchange, and even personal growth.
Absolutely. And speaking of connection, in today's digital age, what's the Wi-Fi password is practically essential.
Right.
But I'm curious, beyond the practicalities, what does this constant need for connectivity say about our travel experiences?
That's an interesting question. On one hand, Wi-Fi keeps us connected, provides access to information, and allows us to share our experiences instantly.
I see.
But it also raises questions about our ability to be present in the moment and truly immerse ourselves in new environments.
You've got me thinking. Maybe there's a balance to strike between staying connected and unplugging to fully absorb the experience. Okay, back to the phrases. Can I see the menu, please?
Seems straightforward enough.
It is, but think of it as more than just a list of dishes.
Yeah.
It's a window into the culinary soul of a place. The way a menu is presented, the descriptions used, the emphasis on certain ingredients, it all tells a story about the local culture and its relationship with food.
You know, you're right. I remember this amazing little cafe in Paris where the menu was handwritten on a chalkboard and changed daily based on what was fresh at the market.
Oh, wow.
It felt so personal and authentic.
Exactly. It's those details that create a richer travel experience.
Yeah.
Now, when it comes to actually paying for those delicious meals, do you take credit cards? Is a key question.
Especially in a world where cash is becoming less common, but I'm guessing this varies greatly from place to place.
Absolutely. While credit cards are widely accepted in many urban areas, there are still places, especially in more rural or traditional communities, where cash is king. It's always wise to have some local currency on hand, just in case.
It's about being prepared and adaptable. Now, hopefully you won't need this next phrase, but it's good to be prepared. I need a doctor. It's pretty straightforward. But are there any nuances to keep in mind when communicating a medical need in a foreign country?
Yes, absolutely. It's helpful to have a basic understanding of the local healthcare system.
Okay.
Are there specific phrases for describing symptoms?
Right.
Are there any cultural taboos related to discussing illness? These are things you might want to research before you go.
It's all about being proactive and informed, especially when it comes to your health and safety. And speaking of safety, is it safe too, is a phrase that allows you to assess potential risks.
Right.
But how can you ask this question in a way that's culturally sensitive and respectful?
It's about phrasing the question in a way that seeks information rather than expressing judgment.
Okay.
Instead of asking, is this neighborhood safe? You might ask, what are some things I should be aware of when exploring this area?
That's a great tip. It's about showing that you're open to learning and respecting local perspectives. Okay, let's shift gears to something a bit lighter. Can you take a photo of Misused? This seemingly simple request can actually lead to some interesting interactions, right?
It's a wonderful way to connect with locals and create a shared moment.
Yeah.
You might even get some unexpected photography tips or recommendations for hidden photo spots. I once had a local in Vietnam insist on taking my photo with his motorbike. It was totally unexpected, but it made for a hilarious and memorable photo. Speaking of memorable experiences, what's the best way to get to is more than just about finding the fastest route.
Precisely. It's about understanding the local transportation landscape and the unique rhythms of a place. Sometimes the journey itself can be as enriching as the destination.
You know, you're making me rethink my whole approach to travel. It's not just about checking things off a list, but about slowing down, observing, and embracing the unexpected.
That's the heart of it. And sometimes those unexpected moments lead to the most memorable stories.
Like the time I got completely lost in the back streets of Tokyo and stumbled upon this amazing hidden garden. I was supposed to be at a museum, but getting lost turned out to be the highlight of my day.
Perfect example. And that brings us to our final phrase, the one we all hope to avoid, but need to know just in case. I'm lost.
Okay, so beyond the obvious practical use, what are some of the less obvious benefits of admitting you're lost?
Well, getting lost can be a humbling experience. It forces you to rely on others, to step outside your comfort zone and to embrace the unknown. And you never know what unexpected adventures might unfold when you stray from the beaten path.
I've definitely found that to be true.
Yeah.
Getting lost has often led me to some of my most treasured travel discoveries.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here, exploring 20 essential travel phrases and uncovering the layers of cultural meaning and potential for connection that lie beneath the surface. What are your final thoughts before we wrap up?
It's amazing how these phrases have gone from simple words to tools for deeper travel experiences. We've talked about asking for help, navigating cultural norms, even the art of getting lost.
And we've only scratched the surface.
Right.
The beauty of languages is that it's constantly evolving. There's always more to learn, new ways to connect, and fresh perspectives to gain.
Absolutely.
That's what makes travel so exciting.
Yeah.
Now, before we wrap up this deep dive, I want to shift the focus to you, the listener.
Which of these 20 phrases resonated with you the most? Have you had any travel experiences where knowing a key phrase made all the difference?
Right.
We'd love to hear your stories and insights.
Because ultimately, the best travel advice comes from shared experiences. It's about learning from each other, building a community of curious explorers, and inspiring one another to embrace the world with open hearts and open minds.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Uh-huh.
So as you pack your bags for your next adventure, remember that language is more than just words. It's a bridge to understanding, a tool for connection, and a passport to a world of incredible experiences.
Safe travels. And may your journeys be filled with meaningful conversations and unexpected discoveries.